Prophecy in the event of a nuclear war. This will be the collapse of the world's financial and economic system, including the end of Western civilization, or the Aryan race from the descendants of Japheth, one of the sons of the Noah. The Third World War. If the conflict becomes a nuclear war, America as the center of the world's financial and trade system will collapse by the destruction of the electronic and physical network infrastructure centered in New York. The world will start from a new system before America's recovery, which will not be easy. Especially if Europe, America, and Russia all suffer the destruction of nuclear bombs, it means the world will lose the most advanced civilization, consisting of 9.3% Europeans, 4.2% Americans, and 1.8% Russian, or the total of 15.3% of the global population. This will be the end of Western civilization with their never-ending conflicts throughout their history. This brings us back to the prophecy of anti-Semitism in Europe by the descendants of Japheth since the beginning of Christianity. Anti-Semitism is considered to be a form of racism. It was anti-descendants of Shem, the Semites, by the descendants of Japheth in Europe who consider themselves as superior Aryan race. According to the Hebrew books, Shem is in Asia, most of descendants of Japheth are in Europe, and Ham in Africa, and only 15.3% of descendants of Japheth in the world. Who are Shem or the Semites? The name Semite comes from Shem, one of the three sons of Noah. In the Greek and Latin versions of the Bible, Shem becomes Sem, since neither Greek nor Latin has any way of representing the initial sound of the Hebrew name. The Bible tells us that everyone on earth was drowned except for Noah and his family, and that all mankind are descended from his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The lines of descent from the three of them described in the 10th chapter of Genesis represent a kind of mythologized ethnology, enumerating the peoples of antiquity, whose names were known at the time when this chapter was written, and setting forth the relationships between them. In later times the idea was widely adopted by Christians, and to a lesser extent by Muslims and Jews, that the three sons of Noah represented the eponymous ancestors of three major racial or linguistic groups. According to this interpretation, Ham was the ancestor of the dark-skinned peoples of Africa, Shem of the Hebrews and their various cognates, and Japheth the ancestor of the Medes, Persians, Greeks, and other peoples who many centuries later came to be known as Aryans. Where are the anti-Semitism occurred? Notable instances of persecution include the Rhineland massacres preceding the First Crusade in 1096, the Edict of Expulsion from England in 1290, the 1348-1351 persecution of Jews during the Black Death, the massacres of Spanish Jews in 1391, the persecutions of the Spanish Inquisition, the expulsion from Spain in 1492, the Cossack massacres in Ukraine from 1648 to 1657, various anti-Jewish pogroms in the Russian Empire between 1821 and 1906, the 1894-1906 Dreyfus Affair in France, the Holocaust in German-occupied Europe during World War II, 6 million innocent Jews was massacred, and Soviet anti-Jewish policies. Though historically most manifestations of anti-Semitism have taken place in Christian Europe in the land of Japheth. Since the early 20th century, anti-Semitism has increased in Middle East, in the land of Shem, by political propaganda, using religion as instrument for the benefits of Western power, or the Aryan race from the descendants of Japheth. The root word Semite gives the false impression that anti-Semitism is directed against all Semitic people, example including Arabs, Assyrians, and Arameans. The compound word antisemitism, was first used in print in Germany in 1879 as a scientific-sounding term for Judenhass, Jew hatred, and this has been its common use since then. The Old Hebrew map. Today conflict parts of the world are only at the land of Japheth, not Shem or Ham. where historically millions of innocent descendants of Shem were slaughtered since beginning of the Christianity. This will be the last war of judgments on the land of Japheth, or what we called self-destruction, of how nature has its way to deal with human cruelty. What about the American? According to this modern version of religious map, since American were basically the leftover from European colonies, they are also considered the descendants of Japheth, Aryan or white, who has carried the blood stain from their European ancestors, who committed genocide against the descendants of Shem or the Semites. And even as today, the killings still continue in Middle East, on the land of Shem, where millions of innocent Arab the descendants of Shem were killed, and their nations were destroyed by American military operations, who are basically Aryan or descendants of Japheth. If God did not let Cain kill Abel without judgment, so as Japheth descendants who killed millions of Shem descendants would not be without judgment. Genesis 4:1-18. The world's conflicts nations out of 7.9 billion's global population. There are 436 million Arabs worldwide, 5.5%, 16 million Jews, 0.2%, 741 million Europeans, 9.3%, 145 million Russians, 1.8%, 332 million Americans, 4.2%, all other nations, 79%. This means whole the world of conflicts and killing are mostly caused by less than 20% of the global population. This will be the end of 15.3% of world most advanced population in the land of Japheth. Thank you.